So hopefully by now you guys have seen my review over this guy, the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And since picking this guy up, I've actually had quite a bit of time to fly with it for fun, just to practice. I haven't really taken it out on any jobs yet, just because I really want to understand this piece of gear before I take it out. But I've actually found 10 things that no one else really has been talking about with this drone, and I wanted to share those with you guys today. So let's get into it. What's good, creative fan? Brandon Washington here. And first of all, if you're brand new to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button, because this channel is all about filmmaking, gear, tips, and tutorials. And like I said already, we're going to be looking at 10 cool little features that I have found that are on the Mavic Pro 2 that no one has really talked about, and I kind of found, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to use them, but I wanted to share those with you guys right now. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into number one. All right, and the first one is that there is actually two 4K modes. So when you actually go into your settings and you're changing your, your quality, you'll actually see that there are two 4K modes. There's a 4K FOV, which I'm assuming stands for full option view or something like that. And then the second one is just 4K HQ, which is a little bit more cropped in. Now this is really cool because if you do want to get a little closer to your subject without actually physically flying your drone in a little bit closer, this does give you that option. So it's kind of two different focal lengths for your 4K, which is really cool because I thought this was something that would only be on the Zoom Mavic 2, but apparently we'll get this on the Mavic 2 Pro. So tip number two is that there's actually two different codecs for recording your video. There's H.264 and there's H.265. Now the reason why this is important is if you want to be able to record in the D-Log or the HLG, basically the log format with the Hasselblad camera, you have to be recording in H.265. So make sure you change that, but also H.265 is actually a better compression, so give that a shot, and typically it works out really well for most people who try to use it. That's what I use. All right, number three is probably my favorite physical feature to the brand new Mavic, and it actually has to do with the controller, and that is that there is a cutout for the home button. If you guys saw my last video, you already know about this, but I had to put that in this video because, man, that is such a big deal for me. Obviously, I'm putting it in two different videos, but there is a cutout for the home button to make pressing that button a lot easier when using your phone with the controller. DJI, two big thumbs up. All right, now number four, this is actually something new to the Mavic, and that is the APS kind of auto flight to avoid stuff. This is something that is actually kind of cool that, to me, I personally think is pretty interesting, but it is something that you do have to turn on. Now, luckily, it's right on the main screen, but just know that if you want this thing to have complete auto avoidance, where it's not going to stop if it senses something, it'll actually try to fly past it or duck below it or go around it or whatever the case may be. This is something that you do have to turn on, so make sure that you know what this is. They kind of hinted at it but didn't really go into detail, and so this is one of those things that I'm not really sure how I want to use it yet or if I want to use it, but I thought it was interesting enough to let you guys know it's there. All right, and number five and number six are actually kind of compounded, and that is now we have what is called aperture priority mode, and we also have shutter priority mode. So with the Mavic Pro 2, we now actually have aperture control, which we've never had on a Mavic of any kind, not a Mavic Pro or Mavic Air. And so with having aperture control, you now get shutter priority and aperture priority, which are a little bit better forms of auto. So if you don't know how to dial in your settings exactly right, but you want to keep your shutter speed at, double your frame rate, or you want to keep your aperture wide open because you're trying to capture a big landscape, well, now you can set those and let your camera do the rest of the work, i.e. changing the other and then also changing things like your ISO on your behalf. So this is something that's really cool that has been added in to the Mavic Pro. It's kind of like a little DSLR now that you have aperture and shutter priority. All right, and now number seven is the fact that this camera actually can shoot in 120 frames per second slow motion. I didn't know this. I don't remember them saying this in any of the calls or talking about it when they were live or whatever. But yeah, this thing actually does shoot at 120. Now it's only in 1080p, and I haven't really tested it yet. So this is another one of those things that I would definitely want to check out. But it is cool to know that if you, for whatever reason, needed some super slow motion drone footage, you can get that with the Mavic Pro 2. Alright, and number 8 actually has to do with the time-lapse feature. Now, a lot of people have known that there's time-lapses on here, but one thing that I didn't know was that it'll actually not only create the time-lapse for you in a video format, but it'll also give you all the raw images. So then if you want to then take those images and stitch them together in After Effects or whatever program you use and make a higher quality hyperlapse, you can absolutely do that, which I thought was pretty cool. Having the quick access to a video if you need to like pump out and edit really fast, you have that, but then also having all the raw images is really interesting, and I like that a lot. Just keep in mind though, it does take up a ton of storage. So for example, I shot a hyperlapse and basically I used the internal storage on the Mavic because I forgot to put my SD card in, and it used up all 8 gigs on one hyperlapse, and the hyperlapse was only about 7 to 10 seconds maybe. So keep that in mind. You do need a lot of storage if you're gonna keep your raw images and the video, but it is nice to know that at least that's an option. Kind of keeping along with that image quality, number 9 is the fact that you have something called hyper light. Now, hyper light is a great way to shoot low light photography using the Mavic. Now again, this is one of those things I haven't gotten a chance to test out yet, but I'm planning on doing it really soon. But it is kind of nice to know that they are adding additional low light photography features into the Mavic, and again, no one said anything about this. This thing does a lot of extra stuff that no one has really said. And number 10, the last and final one, is that this gimbal has way more control than any previous gimbal has had so far. I mean, to the fact that this gimbal not only can look all the way down, but it actually can angle itself slightly up, which I thought was really cool, because actually the other day I was flying it around and I actually was like chasing these birds because I wanted to get a shot of them, and they flew above the gimbal, and because I was able to actually angle my gimbal up, I was still able to keep them in the shot. This is one of those really cool features where it's gonna get, you know, to a point where you have to figure out how to creatively really use this, but I do like having this as an option, and I'm excited to test this out in future videos. So there you have it, guys. Those are 10 quick fun little extra things that the Mavic Pro 2 can do that no one has really talked about. Have you guys discovered any new ones yourself? If you have, definitely leave those down in the comments below. I'd love to test those out as well. Also, how do you think you'll use some of these new features now that we have them in the Mavic Pro 2? I'd really love to hear you guys' feedback. Again, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.